All right, good morning, good evening, good night. Another episode of Layer 1 Live coming to you deep in the heart of LADZ City. I took that from Crypto Buffalo, which I'll get to in a second. Coming deep in the heart of LADZ City here. I'm going to be bringing you the news from the week. DeFi, NFTs, the lot. Bitcoin, trend reversal a little bit. We got altcoins kind of reversing. Got some music brought to you by the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Thank you guys for hooking it up with your lo-fi beats. Hopefully that's doing well. Nice to see you guys in today. It is Monday, June 28th, 2021. We're going to have ourselves a great episode, and we're going to get some coverage of the entire cryptocurrency industry, man. So we're hitting all blockchain. If you got any stories you want me to hit specifically, oh no. I should be coming through. Showing is saying I've got no sound. Hopefully that's coming through all right, guys. But again, we are going to be hitting, so we're hitting pretty much the entire industry. I wanted to start off by giving a quick remembrance shout out here to our man John McAfee. Tough legacy, but he definitely was an ambitious and free spirit. We got the news that he passed away in his cell last week. Really awesome quote right here from him. And in democracy, power is given, not taken, but it is still power. Love, compassion, caring have no use for it, but it is fuel for greed, hostility, and jealousy. All power corrupts. Take care which powers you allow democracy to wield. And it's a good summary of how he thought. Very free spirit. Nobody was controlling John. Definitely has a little bit of a checkered background. 2016, 2017, he definitely got involved in some scammery. But just wanted to give a quick shout out to him. He was, at the end of the day, a beacon for probably libertarians most of all, but just free people. So want to give a quick shout out to John before we start the episode. Again, covering pretty much the entirety of the crypto space. If you've got any stories you want me to hit, you let me know. I'm going to give a quick shout out to the LADZ fam here. Hash Rhymes, Asmodai, Crypto Buffalo, Shaggy Downs is in the house, Choina, Carrots, Virtugrana, Oh My Coins, Loadmasters Rock, OG Lad right there, Marty McFly, Nick Service. Shout out to you guys here in the house early as we start this episode. I just clicked the live button. And we're covering a little bit of a reversal here. Taking you through CoinGecko a little bit. We got a little bit of a 24-hour period. We see ETH is up 15%. Doge had a little bit of a interesting bounce. I'm going to take you to ETH BTC here. That's a nice little pop for ETH BTC on the daily. That continues to rise. We've got BTC on the daily. Let's zoom in a little bit. You can see we've been ranging for a little bit. We've been popping every time here around 30K. So, nice little pop for us today here in crypto. It was good to see some green candles. And we'll get into some Glassnode insights. There's some macro news from different Latin American countries. Matter of fact, let's go through the episode breakdown here. We're going to hit some Glassnode insights, which I love. CryptoPotato has some good insights on ETH as well. Polygon's launching a new all-purpose blockchain dubbed Avail. It's going to be like data sets that help layer 2s. Some China stuff we've been covering relatively over the past, relatively well over the past 2 months. UK bans Binance. Now that sounds like a big headline. It's a little bit of clickbait. We'll get into why. NFTs have been crazy. Even with the market pullback, NFTs have done really, really well. So we'll hit some of these generative projects. Jay-Z and Jack were in the house. Jay-Z and Jack Dorsey in the house talking NFTs. Jay-Z is going to be selling a Reasonable Doubt NFT. And then we'll hit the floor for all of these. I mean, it's hard to keep track now, but MeBits, Bored Apes, CryptoPunks, Gutter Cat Gangs. I'm trying to figure out if I'm getting all of them. And then we've got some DeFi news. Kain Warwick from Synthetix is coming back. He took a little bit of a break. Kain Warwick the founder of Synthetix. They made a move to decentralize the platform, to decentralize the protocol, and he has since seen some things that he wants to address within that business structure, that organizational structure. So it's an awesome blog post I'll get to. RabbitHole raises 3.6. Some rugs, of course. How can you not talk DeFi without getting into some exploits? So that's kind of the deal that we're getting to today. Again, any stories you want to cover while I'm in NFTs or DeFi, even quick news, we'll be covering. Good to see Loadmasters rocking the house, though. All right, starting this episode, couple LADZ updates before we get into the Glassnode piece. I've got a few things to get to. So here's the schedule for the week. I'm going to get rid of Fun Uncle there for a second. I don't know why it goes Sunday to Saturday. Just go Monday to Sunday. Fun Uncle was yesterday, and he's going to continue bringing great content there on Sunday. We're building out our roster of awesome content creators. But Layer 1 Live is right now. Tuesday is going to be NFT Live. Wednesday is going to be at 2:30, Layer 1 podcast there. Thursday is going to be Easy Street. And then Friday, of course, LADZ Day with LADZ Poker on Saturday. And this is the general setup with what we've got right now within the network. Ton of different content creators getting after it. Probably the biggest update for LADZ in general is going to be Crypto Buffalo. I'm going to touch on this really quickly, guys. Crypto Buffalo joined us about 8 months ago, I would say, at this point. Feels like 10 years ago. I feel like I've known this guy my whole life. Crypto Buffalo is building the largest crypto content network, and you can find him in LADZ City, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's going to be taking the leap and joining me full-time here in LADZ City so that we could build out the best content network, media platform, cross-project social token community, however you dub LADZ City. Buffalo's coming on full-time. Want to give him a quick shout-out. Definitely could not see LADZ without Crypto Buffalo and what we are now, and it's only going to increase as he comes on full-time, and we'll be able to work on a lot of great stuff for the network. So give a quick shout out to Buffalo there in the chat, guys. He is very, very excited to get working, and I'm excited to get working with him. So other than that, Kagi came through this week and gave us a great little bit here on what we are actually building here in LADZ City. So I'm going to turn off the tunes for a second, and I'm going to let him take it away.
Anyways, if you guys don't know what LADZ City is trying to build, this is an example right here. Barstool Sports has so many shows, right? Everything that has to do with sports in different formats with different content creators. They have an all-star team here of content creators within the sports world. But in LADZ City, we're trying to do the same thing, but in the crypto world, whether it's NFT gaming, NFT art, technical analysis, whether it's skits and funny things about the crypto world, memes. I know we have a show coming up soon with the young content. So make sure you follow this network. This network is going to blow up, and hopefully you guys are part of this for the long run.
Shout out to Kagi there. I love Kagi, man. I love Kagi man. Just an awesome creator there. Speaks his mind. Definitely happy to have them as one of our first roster pieces here. I mean, I could extrapolate it out 6 months, and we have a content creator list of 20 to 30 to 40 people. And within that, being able to do NFTs for these content creators, that's really the play for us. But Kagi did a great job breaking it down. All right, for those people that are not here to hear the LADZ City shill, we will get to the episode here in the next 30 seconds. Last thing, I sat down with Roll here on this podcast. Synthetix, who is heading up Roll Radio there, where they're interviewing different social token creators. You can see myself there. Let's see if we can get a good shot at Synthetix with the Mohawk, man. Absolutely killing the Mohawk game. Look at this guy. But I sat down with Synthetix and Roll. I'll drop this link there in the chat if you guys want to check this out after. Great conversation, about 34 minutes long. So not too much, but not too little either. We got after it talking social tokens. So that is going to be about it for the LADZ news. I don't want to overpopulate the early part of the episodes with LADZ news. There will be timestamps afterwards as well, guys, if you want to take a look. But make sure you're sharing the episode. Please leave a like. Definitely helps the episode get out as well. And if it's your first time here, this is Layer 1 Live. We're doing these every Monday at 2:30, covering the entire crypto space. So if you want to leave a subscribe, please do. All right, all-time high is going to be 48. If we hit 48, I don't know what we're going to do. I'm going to do something crazy. If we hit 48, I'm going to do something crazy here on Layer 1 Live. I just don't know what that is yet. So we'll see if we hit it. Big story here. And we're going to get to the Glassnode insights now, giving you one last shot here at Bitcoin USD. Little bit of a reversal. So we're sitting here in this kind of trending kind of chop as we see this. So we're really kind of going in between and kind of chopping out between, I mean, we've topped out here 40K, but really the chop is between 38 and 30. And we've just been in this since about middle of May. So we're bouncing off of 30K here. It's about 34, 35 that we hit today. And that's basically what we're covering and what that means for the network. So I'm going to go straight in to some Glassnode insights here. Glassnode, if you guys don't know, they have a great analysis of on-chain data. They do a lot of market insights. And we're just basically going to cover most of what they're giving us today. So a lot of what I already told you, market traded down to about 28,000. So high 28s there. And an intraday high of 35K, and basically they're gonna break down the reasons why, and some of that has to do with some of the mining FUD that we had, some direct relations to the mining news. It wasn't just FUD. A lot of people use FUD in relation to maybe things that are true. I mean, if it's true, it's not necessarily FUD, but we just use it as that case. So we saw a lot of Chinese miners start to move and migrate out of China, perhaps, and sell Bitcoin to make sure that they're getting enough to cover their expenses. Really quick paragraph here that we can cover. As mining hash power continues to drop off the network during the largest migration of mining hardware in history, Bitcoin holders market-wide appear to have capitulated at lows. The market realized the largest absolute losses in history, and we explore the cross-section of the markets most affected. The other part that they do touch on is institutional interest. You know, institutional interest was definitely a primary factor in why we ran up to 60K. There's a lot of the reasons why your mom and pop are asking why Bitcoin's going up. Well, the big boys are getting in, and that made them FOMO. So you can see the Bitcoin chart here. They're talking a lot about long-term and short-term holders. I think we've touched on this a couple times on Layer 1 Live. On why long-term holders and understanding the difference between the ratio of new coins to old coins. Old coins being, you know, coins that haven't been sold in a long time that are sitting in people's wallets. As opposed to when you get to, you know, FOMO and euphoria, a lot of short-term coins, a lot of young coins are in the market. So currently only 2.44 of the circulating supply in Bitcoin is held by long-term holders at an unrealized loss. So long-term holders still in profit here. It hasn't gotten to the point where people are going to be really, you know, in that desperation mode if you're a long-term holder. Don't want to go too far into this, but basically what we're looking at here is, are people selling in the long term and are people selling in the short term? There's probably better insight in the paragraph than actually looking at some of these charts and breaking them down. Obviously, the one up here is going to be the realized gain, unrealized gains, realized losses. Or actually, I'm sorry, not unrealized, but realized profits. So people selling up in here. People panic selling up in here. So 3.45 billion in realized losses. People just selling at a loss. Most in history. And here's kind of the breakdown of what you're looking at, right? Despite some evidence long-term holders who spent coins were panic selling, almost all lifespan-based metrics that track coin age continue to break down towards pre-bull levels. Sell pressure is largely short-term holders who are almost entirely holding coins at an unrealized loss. 23.5% of all circulating supply are owned by short-term holders and underwater. So here's what that means in a nutshell. If we can get to the point where short-term holders aren't being affected in panic selling, that sell pressure can be alleviated, and we won't have kind of this downward pressure on the token. So most long-term holders did not spend their coins, and thus the average age of coins that were on the move remains very young. So a lot of very young coins that haven't moved from people's wallets in a long time, or haven't stayed in someone's wallet for a long time, those are the ones being moved. A lot of downward pressure from short-term holders. That's key. The second piece, miners selling pressure. There's a dramatic decline in revenue to the recent 50% markdown in prices, leading to more coins sold to cover the same fiat-denominated costs. So if your run rate was, hypothetically $1 million, and Bitcoin's at 60K, you can sell less BTC to cover that. Now it's at 30K, you got to sell more BTC, which is kind of this weird cyclical effect. And then logistical expenses and risk incurred by miners to relocate or liquidate mining equipment, necessitating liquidation of BTC. Here's the key here. These expenses are likely to be ongoing for some months. So until we can get over the hump of this big China crackdown, the FUD, and also the direct implications of having people move. I think Asmodai's in the chat saying lots of new miners in Kazakhstan. Tom Serix is saying McAfee didn't kill himself. Likely that he didn't. I should clarify there. Hubbersnacks is saying Jim Cramer is buying ETH, and Hubbersnacks is also saying I bought some ETH at 2.4K, haven't sold one Gwei. Hubbersnacks asking, do you think Sailor uses leverage? He looks to be buying more spot. I don't think he uses that much. I don't think he uses leverage and I believe that would be public knowledge with the firms that he's got. He has to disclose most of what he's got going on. So I don't believe he does. So again, here's the things that we've covered in this Glassnode analysis. Long-term holders, short-term holders, a lot of downward pressure from short-term holders right now who are underwater. The second piece is miner sell pressure. There's two things. Bitcoin's at a lower price, so people got to sell more BTC to keep that run rate, and then people are moving out of China, and actually that cost a lot of money. So those are all downward sell points on Bitcoin's price. Now, some of that is going to be in a small time frame, 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 months. Tough to say like how long this is actually going to last, but you got to think at some point we're going to get out of one. China always has this immediate FUD that's hit super hard and then wanes off. And then you actually have the miners that are eventually going to open back up shop or liquidate all their BTC, whatever they're doing is going to stop. And then you'll have that downward sell pressure not be affected. So that's basically what Glassnode's kind of giving you here. You can see the total miner revenue here over time. The lowest was that Black Thursday in March, as we see here on my cursor, and we definitely have not reached that point, but it's down about 65% from the high. So we see miner revenue in yellow. Bitcoin price is the gray line. So we're still up about 200%, 150% from those lows on Black Thursday, but miner revenue is severely tanked. They talk a little bit about mining difficulty here. What that means is, mining difficulty only increasing a little bit, and all these Chinese miners kind of closing up shop. That's going to make it more profitable for the people who are currently miners. And the reason that is bullish is because these miners will accumulate more into their treasury and not have to sell maybe at a loss or just sell to get their run rate, right? Taking it directly from here. This means fewer coins. In practice, this means that mining Bitcoin has become exceptionally profitable throughout 2021, and that some mining hardware that would otherwise be obsolete remains profitable. This means fewer coins need to be sold to cover costs, and miner treasury reserves can be built up. So mining difficulty increases at the peak and goes all the way down to about, I mean, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna be a big hard analysis here on how this is actually set up here in hash rate, what denomination that is. So there's a little bit of, balances in miners' wallets that they're talking on here. So, balance is increasing, and then during this run up, balance is decreasing. They're likely selling at a massive profit. And we've touched on this, right? We've touched on long-term holders, smart money is selling during these run-ups. Even though that sounds counterintuitive, long-term holders are selling during times of these massive run-ups, and we see that here. Look at all the balances within the miners' wallets as we were in a clear uptrend. 20K right around here, 60K around here. We've since kind of popped back up, but we want to likely see these continue to stay in around these markers. So one last point here, relative to 2020 and quarter one of 2021, miner sell pressure on exchanges has actually been notably less than the 300 to 500 BTC days sustained over that period. So here, don't get too confused with this chart here, but this is basically volume of BTC sent to exchanges from these miners. You'd think that BTC being sent to exchanges, that means that they're selling, right? So seeing this kind of come off, definitely probably bullish in my opinion. And then the last thing they're talking about is OTC desks. This is institutional investors. So quick, throughout the 2021, there's been a progressive step down in OTC balances, with each leg down typically correlated with changes in market trend. From April to June, a total OTC balance of between 8K and 6K BTC has been maintained. So basically, how much is being traded on OTC desks? And in that time, OTC desks is down. That's mirrored what they're saying is institutional demand. So GPTC, then this is relatively easy to see. In times where Bitcoin is relatively, on an uptrend, that premium is going to be super high, and the interest is still going to be high. So over here, if you guys see December, which was really that uptick, right, to 60K where it started, in or abouts, the Grayscale was trading at a premium. The GBTC trust was trading at a premium. Institutional investors were okay paying plus 30% to get access. And as it went negative, you can see the low here, institutions now were paying a premium to actually, or they're actually being incentivized with this discount and still not purchasing it. So we see this premium rise a little bit. I think that's probably a bullish indicator as well. Seeing a GBTC get bought up, because as this percentage gets higher, that means there's more interest from institutional investors. And then they talk about ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs, another tool for institutional investors. That's going to increase over time. That's what they're showing. So QBTC is one of the holdings, though, that is getting an outflow, while there's a purpose ETF that is continues. So these are two different ETFs. One's increasing, the other is decreasing. And then finally, the last thing they touch on is the balance held on Coinbase, a preferred venue for U.S. institutions. So here's the summary. Between observations of the GBTC premium, net outflows from the combined purpose and QBTC ETFs, and a stagnant Coinbase balance, institutional demand appears to remain somewhat lackluster. And that's, that Fun Uncle covered this yesterday, did a great job covering why institutions might be on the sideline, which is what Glassnode just told you. Again, institutional demand appears to remain somewhat lackluster. They're waiting for that trend reversal. They're comfortable not catching the bottom, not playing falling knives. So if you want to take some bullish, insights from here, once the mining pressure comes down, the sell pressure comes down from them getting set up and not having this huge burning hole in their pocket. Once we see a little bit more rise in Bitcoin, maybe they don't have to sell as much Bitcoin. Tough to get there, but once you see that trend reversal, it's all there for institutional investors to get back in. I really like this chart here. The GBTC premium, something you need to be watching. So almost close to even there. Still trading at a discount, and institutions are interested, but not, I'm going to pay 35% premium interested. So we'll monitor that. Awesome stuff by Glassnode. Continue to keep this coming in. Asmodai saying, tell them to take a break. Too many NFTs a day. No way to long-term hold. The NFTs are just so adorable. Xbox saying, Cogs had the best wax launch of any project. We missed having a sale day. Yeah, we can't run sale days every day. We ran the BAYC sale day, unfortunately. Tigbo saying, OVOT. Shout out to Tigbo there, who was away last week. Great to have you back in the city. Choin is saying, agreed, Xplow, congrats. Must go to the RFox Games team. Fantastic sale. Seamless. I love RFox, man. I really do like their team. Much like the Avagachi team, I just appreciate teams that ship. Tom Erickson saying, miners moved over to Texas, the next miner utopia. Yeah, I mean, Texas is going to definitely be, and there's the point that we talked about on Layer 1 Live. Why China's doing this? There's a point later. There's a point later in the episode here that I wanted to touch on, but I guess I could hit this now. Why would China do this? That's the real question. Why would they come out and cut the knees from under them when a lot of the hash rate is coming from China? That power, if BTC becomes a worldwide global reserve asset, that power is strong. And we have one individual here, top executive at Jefferies, Christopher Wood, believing it mostly came out of the competition between their digital yuan and not wanting to compete with Bitcoin. So maybe that's the reason. We'll get to that a little bit later. Hubbard Snacks is saying, after reversal, it sounds like it will moon. The macro stories are there, right? The macro stuff is there if we want this market to pop off. I think that what Glassnode was getting at is there is a short-term time frame where institutions won't get in. You will see downward pressure from short-term holders that are underwater, and you will have miners that will continuously sell. because of everything that's going on. So you thank China for that. And in the meantime, you'll see Shiba Inu moon because Elon tweets about it. That's really where we're at. See a little bit of a pop here in ETC. We'll touch on ETH here as well. But ETH BTC doing pretty well here on this recovery. That will be something to monitor. If we chop and BTC chops, do we see another little bit of an alt season? ETH BTC is often an indicator there of alt seasons. Sheesh. Wow. That's crazy to even look at. Little 2017 action for those of you that were not around back then. There's a little bit of what alt season looked like back then. So we didn't even really see that much of an alt season. I mean, we did, but nothing like back then. Asmodai saying, so who's volunteering as a COGS correspondent? Would love a COGS correspondent. Shout out to Choina, who's been doing that within Avagachi, really taking it the bull by the horns there, if you will. Running a great project with Gachi lads. If you guys are interested in Avagachi and you're a lad, shout out to Choina. He'll take care of you. All right, so we'll move into ETH here. So this was updated today. And we have a little bit from CryptoPotato. Cryptocurrency market continues to recover today, as well as with Ethereum surging to a weekly high of 2,100. I think we got a little bit past that. We have a nice little... Oh, this feels good. Don't really understand who's still buying ADA. I mean, at this point, we've gone through 2 cycles without the thing launching in any large capacity. A couple different pieces here. ETH is doing super well on this bounce, 10.9%. Link doing well. MATIC's getting a little bit fudded recently. I expected it early. When MATIC was first rising through the ranks, taking some of that Ethereum user base, I was expecting some FUD from Ethereum community. Didn't get it. That was really cool. But now we're getting a little bit of FUD. Aave doing super well here as well. So ETH, Solana, Aave, Link, Uni. Sounds like DeFi. Easy and Crypto's in the house. Busy morning. Getting here late. NFT showing up on ADA. Hubbersnack says. ADA's about as unobjective as I'll get. As subjective as I'll ever get on a chain. I love to stay objective with monitoring these chains. I have nothing against any chain whatsoever except ADA. I just can't. I can't do it. They put... I mean... Yeah, I really don't want to get into it, but at least the other chains are getting out there and doing something. And I know there's been some updates here for ADA. I get it. But it's been like 4 years. And in that time, while protocols have made mistakes... it just rubs me the wrong way. All right, we have a little bit more from CryptoPotato here. Between China, El Salvador, and Paraguay, a raging week for Bitcoin. So we saw El Salvador come out recently. Let's see if we can't get to that actually. So this was actually made on a statement which I'm not, obviously going to be able to read here in full, but the president comes out and says $30 for literally every citizen that sets up an account with them or some type of Bitcoin wallet, whatever process they're using, they're coming out with a $30 piece there to encourage the adoption of cryptocurrency. So on top of that, you had a little bit come out from Mexico. So this comes from Ricardo Salinas Piego, continues with his support for Bitcoin by indicating his bank is planning to start using BTC. There was a little bit of exchange between him and Saylor. This guy was an early Bitcoin supporter. So he bought around 8K. Two narratives he's playing on: the supply cap of Bitcoin as well as the international value. So enormous liquidity at a global level. So good narratives to run on there. And he's saying Bitcoin is the one asset for the next 30 years if he had to hold anything. So we're continuously seeing this macro movement with larger countries outside of China. Some of the West is taking a little bit long to get after it, but these Latin American countries, these South American countries, they're getting on board. And that's going to be a driver, man. The issue is if you see any negative sentiment come out via these large countries, whether it be EU or what have you, that's going to be the case where do you have multiple Western countries come out and say, no, we don't want to do this. That's the thing you have to worry about narrative-wise. All right, one last look at CoinGecko before we move on here. Going to refresh this a little bit. Still continuing upwards. ETH is looking fantastic right now. Leading the charge there, about 16% up over 24-hour period. I'm holding a big bag of Polygon here at 115. Let me know what you guys are holding in this. I see a couple mention ADA. Not going to hold it against you. Earning more must for the Polygon LADZ pool. Shout out to Asmodai. Do your own research, not investment advice. We'll see what BNB does in this run-up. So we see the best performers there in the top 100. Compound, Kusama, Zilliqa, Thor, Internet Computer Protocol, which I saw got a lot of news, but I didn't really look into it that much. Apparently the team had dumped a lot. I'm definitely staying away from that one. Celsius has dealt with some news, negative news. Still doing well, it looks like. Synthetix, we'll talk about Kain. So a lot of cool projects there in the top 100. Let me know what you guys are holding here. I would love to talk about that. Otherwise, we will move on here to quick hits. So at first glance, this is going to be a really negative piece for Binance. Ends up not really that big of a deal. So the FCA, which is a regulatory body within the UK, came out and said that Binance Markets Limited cannot offer derivatives in the UK. So the big headline, guess what the big headline was? Binance banned in the UK. And that obviously got picked up, of course, because everybody loves really nice stories. Ends up, if you look further into it, again, the FCA is saying here Binance Markets Limited and derivatives. So those two pieces we'll break down here. Binance Markets Limited is actually not a part of anything that they're offering right now in the UK. So there's the first piece. The second piece is derivatives. So spot is actually going to continuously be available. Dude, Bored Ape's getting after it. Hold on, let me change this. Sheesh. So that was really the two pieces there. We had Binance coming out here. We are aware of recent reports about an FCA UK notice in relation to Binance Markets Limited. BML is a separate legal entity and does not offer any products or services via the website. Binance went on to say, in addition to not being a whole nother entity, Binance Markets Limited is not currently operational. So, really, and this response was made on June 27th. Let's see if we can't get into it. So here's Binance referring to this FCA notice here on June 27th. And you have to deal with this. You know, you have to deal with relatively small pieces of news coming out and being bigger pieces of news. It is crypto. We love to hype up something that's has nothing to do with anything, really. So, Asmodai saying old news, all derivatives and options were banned in the UK in 2020. And there it is. So, spot trading still available in the UK as far as Binance is concerned. The biggest piece here is that Binance has had like a checkered past for forever since they launched, right? They moved to Malta. Now they're in the Cayman Islands. There's no official headquarters for Binance. So, along with this came a piece of news from Japan. This is arguably the bigger piece of news. Japan's finance regulator warns Binance is operating without registration. Japan is notoriously strict with their regulations. They're the quintessential nationalization piece there when it comes to kind of making sure that everything is tight. Once you're into Japan, you're in, but it takes a while to get that way. So FSA began a registration process in Japan that required crypto companies to file with the regulator in order to continue operating. Apparently, Binance hasn't completed this registration process, or at least been accepted. Quick piece here from Decrypt. It now appears that users located in Japan are still able to access the site and make trades. Binance has not yet responded to inquiries. So, normally this comes from another country. Any other country outside of Japan, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. It would be a big deal, but Japan, with their tight regulations on, specifically within their financial sector and trading, it's a little bit of a bigger deal. So, we'll maintain and watch that story as it progresses. I touched on this one already, but one of Mexico's biggest billionaires, Ricardo Piego, saying that his bank, Banco Azteca, aims to be the first bank in his country to accept Bitcoin. You can see the conversation here with Michael Saylor. I'm not going to lie, I cringe a little bit when I see the tweet here. Sure, I recommend the use of Bitcoin, and me and my bank are working to be the first bank in Mexico to accept Bitcoin. If you need more details or information, follow me on my Twitter account. And what do we see on the Twitter account? Laser eyes. Not a big laser eyes guy, but I'm nitpicking here. Great to see Mexico get involved. The more of these small to medium-sized countries, Mexico's definitely would be a bigger piece of news if their government can get behind it. One of their largest banks getting it, definitely a good step. This is good macro news, man. And we're talking about the trends and what needs to happen for the trend reversal to happen. But once that does occur, all of these macro pieces moving, including Mexico getting involved. So, good to see there. All right, I'm moving into quick news. Let me know what you want to touch on. I got the RFox and COGS piece I want to hit in the NFT section that you guys dropped. Let me know what else you guys want me to drop as well. I know it's a Monday. I need some energy from the chat here. Just a tad more energy from the chat. You guys got to keep me going. All right, we are about halfway through, and we are still on quick news. So that tells you what we broke down in the first part. Here we go with Polygon. So Polygon, all things considered, I appreciate Polygon. Polygon is definitely one of the horses I'm riding here, as we, maybe hopefully move into this next cycle. But it looks like they're planning on launching their own, another kind of standalone blockchain here called Avail, a general purpose blockchain network for standalone chains, side chains, and other layer 2s. So in this press release here, it says Polygon noted that Avail will provide foolproof data available while preventing data encoding proofs using erasure coding and polynomial commitments to create a two-dimensional data availability scheme. Are you still with me? A TLDR on that. Polygon's intention of onboarding Avail is to provide single chains that have difficulty executing transactions with needed data, guaranteed to make the task easier. So some cool news out of Polygon here, getting a lot of FUD from the general ecosystem. I'll touch on Andre here in a second, but even DeFi Prime got involved. But we see a little bit of movement from the Polygon ecosystem. I appreciate Polygon for sure. So, all right, guys. NFTs. We got NFTs here in the house. I'm going to start with a weekly rundown. We're going to touch on Jay-Z. Marvel's getting involved. I think someone mentioned Jay-Z and was in the house with Jack. I mentioned that earlier in the episode as well. So Jay-Z's getting a little bit involved. Bulls on the block. I mean, we have generative art pieces here everywhere. Actually, one of our lads, Furo, came through and dropped another one that I'll touch on here in a second. But generative art pieces obviously have been the go-to here over the past couple months. Bored Ape Yacht Club has really taken that zeitgeist and run with it. All right, so I'm going to start with a weekly rundown here. Xplos saying broke. Not sure what's broke. Is he broken down somewhere? That's unfortunate. CryptoPotato saying go lads, our vibe, our tribe. Choin is saying uplift world rig pack sale in around 4 hours. We can pull that up. Madcat Militia, Lucky Mineki both dropping this Wednesday. The one I'm talking about here, I'll pull up. I'm a DGen, which dropped into our chat. So it looks like Void is codenamed Void, the visitors of I'm a DGen. So you see the generative pieces here. Again, this was dropped by one of our LADZ members here in the NFT chat. Apparently, some information is going to be live here shortly. You can obviously go to these guys' Twitter. I'll drop it in chat. If I can find it. Yep, top left. I'll drop this one in chat, guys. I just found out about it again. So we will cover a bunch of these different sale pieces. But let's get to the weekly rundown. We were going to cover this last week on NFT Live, but didn't. Love these pieces that they come through with NFT Plazas, does a weekly rundown, shows the analytics. So we had Mortimer the Crypto Mystic, so not really even sure this is part of any one project. Genshiro.io Cats. So here are the top 3 again. So nothing really I can pick out just from the original sale. Genshiro seems to be making an interesting play in the top 5 here. Overall markets, Axie Infinity here, just killing it since they got added to this list. Bored Ape Yacht Club, Wicked Craniums, NBA Top Shot. So CryptoPunks is not on this list. Axie Infinity is up 27% from the past week. NBA Top Shot down 41% in volume. Bored Ape Yacht Club up 150. Wicked Craniums is at 7.21 in their first place, or first placement on the list, if you will. So OpenSea killing it, 70% increase in sales volume. We got some crypto art action. Nifty Gateway, of course. Foundation's making a play, though. Foundation is continuously making their way up on this list. And really, again, the story of the day is a lot of these generative art pieces. And Bulls on the Block launched to a sellout. Craziness ensued. So I'm going to try to pull up Bulls on the Blockchain. I'm going to try to pull up their tweet about the actual sale. See if I can get into this one. So Bulls on the Block, I'll give you a quick look if you haven't seen them. Generative art project. You see the traits here. You see the bulls there. Cool art, in my opinion. So here comes the note from the team, which they sold out like instantly. It was like a gas war that ensued. They really spiked Ethereum. There was like DeFi projects asking what the hell was going on. Bulls need to be minted. If you didn't hit the bull mint at a certain price or a certain gas price, you didn't get any. If you do have issues in the future, I think Furo's dropping the alpha here in LADZ City. If you want to go to the NFT chat, he dropped an interesting way that you could send a transaction back to yourself. You don't need to speed up a cancellation. You can actually send a transaction back to yourself and cancel that transaction. So don't want to get that. Don't want to get into that here. But safe to say, a ton of people didn't get bulls. I think it ended up in the hands of like 1,000 people. And that was essentially, how this went. So here's from Bulls on the Block specifically. This is a bittersweet moment for the team. We wanted deeply a strong starting base of followers that loved the art and believed in the project. We know that the awful gas prices and the bump kept many of you out of the project. We will do everything in our power to get some of you back in a couple days. Should we have done some things better regarding gas? Sure, but not much, as you all know. Tonight we will look to the topic of gas spent without minting. Tomorrow we start building towards the dream we have for Bulls on the Block. So some of these people, with the generative movement that we're in now, a lot of these people, you'd have to get the data, but some of these people are getting in for the first time, and this was their first experience spending, $20 to $30 probably they lost on gas, depending on what they did, and not getting any bulls. Shaggy Down saying, my wife and I lost the $20 in gas. There it is. On the bulls drop. It sucked. Chon is talking about Void, which we'll get into. Xpaw saying I tried and got screwed on the bulls. Tigbo saying $20 loss isn't bad. Agreed on that one. Some of these DeFi projects in 2020, you got screwed on some gas prices if you didn't get involved. Or if the transaction didn't go through, I'm sorry. Shaggy Down says, yeah, gas spiked up to 500 instantly. So 660 to 300. So basically, again, showing the limitations here of some of Ethereum's features, if you will. We'll go into some of this, but I want to throw this your guys' way, and we can have a quick discussion on where generative art is now, but what this means for bulls on the block when you have a situation where most of the bulls find themselves in the hands of 1,000 people who were going to spend a lot more on gas, and therefore some people think they're whales. There was a great tweet that was put out by Benjamin, who does a great job following these drops. He was responding to someone saying that, and I don't think this one is the specific one. Let me see if I can find it. So again, the responses ranged, right? So this guy Danny Ukes is saying, hot take, if you really want to buy these bulls from whales, you're not going to make it. These are not it, LOL. I don't care who says otherwise. And the point by Benjamin or someone on a thread that he was on was that, listen, apes were the same way. Here's from Beanie. Apes at first only were in the hands of like 1,500 people. So I thought that was a fantastic point. The difference is with apes, it was over a long period of time. Generative art wasn't in the hubbub that it is now, as at least in the same fashion. So those apes were bought up over like days. But they did end up in the hands of about 1,500, and then it got distributed from those whales to the rest of the community. Nick Swerve is saying Pranksy had like 500 alone on BAYC, I feel like. Sheesh. Yeah, I can't confirm the actual total number there, but Pranksy and the like, Dingaling. He trolls me every time with that name, man. The fact that I have to say that on stream. So Ramses is coming in here, and by the way, I didn't know Chris Tuttle was Ramses until like 5 seconds ago. But Ramses is coming in saying, the thing is, the whales are mostly those willing to price in the cost of gas when figuring out their total cost of an NFT. It doesn't mean that all of them immediately resold. Very fair. I love this discussion, by the way. Gas wars show a lot of people think the mint price left money on the table. Yeah. I get the impression that when you're distributing NFTs, the best narrative to go with is you want a wide distribution, and most people, I don't think, knew how to play that game that you were just talking about, Ramses. I think the very uninitiated NFT user that wants to get in on bulls doesn't know how to compete in the gas war, and that's where the narrative went wrong. So Beanie's here saying he was wrong about bulls on the block. Massive demand, had to gas up to 800 Gwei near the end to get some. If gas dropped, it would have sold out in seconds. Thousands of pending transactions failed. No Futuristic live streaming the launch. I see you. No Futuristic, I see you. We'll talk later. We could go into OpenSea here and see if we can't get there. Bulls on the block. We can check out a floor here. So again, purchase price 0.08. Floor going to be about 2x that. Or 1x. That should just... That part does not... I'm not even getting into it. You're 100% up. 2x. So there was some controversy. I want to stay in the bulls for a minute. I do see Gutter Cats, which I'll hit, as the Gutter Cats floor is rising. Bulls and Apes doing really well. Or I'm sorry, just Apes. I want to talk directly on those because we do see Bulls are doing well. Pandas got hit by some weird, dev situation where they updated the contracts. If someone has the TLDR on the Panda situation, I'll pull up the tweet, but there was some weird stuff. There were some moderators that were quitting in the middle of the fiasco. I'm going to touch on really quick. I put this out to the community, and I wanted to see if I could get any responses here. Some people are a little bit hesitant to come out with any comments here, but basically asking, how do we solve this? How do we solve the gas war dilemma with this distribution? Lander comes out and says the approach will be taken in form of whitelisting. You can build hype and demand and only whitelist to that address. And then Classy J, I believe, this is Classy J, been thinking about this very dilemma. One idea, instead of minting the actual item, buyer mints a ticket, then a lottery ensues where winning tickets can be cashed in for the actual NFT. If someone wants multiples, they can buy other tickets pre-launch. If I'm not mistaken, is that what Avagachi does? I think that's what Avagachi does. They use the lottery system for their NFTs, and you can't say it hasn't worked. So we're going to look at Guttercat Gang's floor really quick, which I believe is hovering around 1 ETH. Goodness. All right, so Guttercat Gang is interesting because I believe there's only about 3,000, if I'm not mistaken. So 3,000 results. If I go, let me see if I go to buy now, does that increase? I believe it's only 3,000. Correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah. So the floor here, there we go. We got the real floor there. 0.94, which is extremely good if you got into a Guttercat Gang situation. And they had that bad launch as well. All right, Ramses is saying, great point. Maybe the real trick is to point new people at the secondary market if we can't educate them on gas. Usually seems to aim to buy right after a sale ends when people are recovering costs. Yeah. Ramses also says Top Shot combines lotteries and whitelist based on market activity and collection size. Listen, I think there are a lot of people experimenting with these drops. I don't know if there's been found to be the best way when you have a drop that is so much weighted in supply and demand. Because, Top Shot has not been immune to these problems. I mean, when you're waiting at the back of a 200,000 person line, it's a little bit of a problem.
But when everything is coming back to me, I feel as if my memory is paralyzed.
It's a tough discussion to have to figure out how you can make sure that secondary markets are fair and that it's not just whales dumping for 2x on people who can't get involved. If you can solve that problem, let me know. I'll touch on this one last time for those of you that haven't been involved in the Lad City network. We had a sale day on Friday for another drop, which I thought was a great addition. I am a BAYC holder. So when we got the dogs for holding, BAYC apes, that was notoriously seen as positive, right? You do a retroactive drop for the holders that already own your stuff, then hard to see where that can go awry. Easy in Crypto says, got to jump into a clubhouse where I'm talking about Cypher. Peace, lads. Take it easy, easy. Take it easy, easy. All right, I'm going to pull up Pandas really quick. They had a little bit of a situation. Benjamin, who I'm referencing a bunch, is responding to Loopify, who originally thought there was some type of rug pull going on with the devs creating different contracts for these pandas, which then they had to come out and actually like reveal early because of the contract being all messy. Contract's all messy. Benjamin comes back out here and says, Loop, I'm not sure this is the case. It looked like it at first, but from what I can tell, the devs are trying to fix the damage control. They revealed the pandas today and are turning on instant reveal. Not sure if it was a rug. Horrible drop, though. You can see here there's a moderator. That's got to be a first that I've seen, at least in the generative projects. Dev just rage quitting mid drop. So here was the tweet that I wanted to touch on. So a lot of apes came out, and apes rightfully are in a position where they can probably question some of the other projects. You know, you're on top. Congrats. Can someone tell me why lots of people with ape profile pictures are all up in arms about bulls when the apes started with a higher percentage of whale owned? Feel like there's an issue no one is actually saying. TY for the info. And most people came back and said, listen, the apes were in that really high accumulation of whales percentage, but it happened over a long period of time and not in the period of 10 minutes where there was a gas war. Is it right? Not sure. But, I mean, I don't want to throw too much shade at whales either. There's a need for whales. Whales often pump in these many niche industries, or these niche kind of character, like this generative phase that we're in, started with whales. But once we're in it, and once people start making money, they want to get rid of the whales. So, I mean, it's a balance in all things. All right, so that's pretty much that when it comes to generative pieces. I can hit CryptoSlam and we can see if we, have any data that we can look at. But again, here we're looking at the past 24 hours. Axes looks like Punk's got a couple sales, or 22 sales in the past 24 hours. That's pretty strong. F1 Delta Time looks like it's having a ton of volume change hands there. Let's go to 7 days. Kennel Club doing really well. Meebits is waiting in the wings, waiting for people to slip up, man. I've seen that all across my Twitter stream. All right, I've got a couple more stories in NFTs, guys, and then we're going to move on to DeFi, but hit me with anything you want me to cover. I'm definitely going to hit this COGS launch. Let's see if we can't get into it. The Bored Ape Kennel Club show was amazing, by the way. Thank you guys for showing up. You guys absolutely killed that. And really awesome drop by Bored Ape Yacht Club there. Doing a little bit of searching here with COGS. If I could be directed in the right way, for those of you that want me to cover COGS, definitely hit me with some stuff. We could probably look at CryptoSlam again here and see if Did Cogs make it onto this list? Not sure why they wouldn't. So Cogs is here. So we see the spike here, right? This is secondary volume. So this is going to be secondary market volume. A lot of holders in Cogs. So this might be a little deceiving. I would love to see how much they raised. So again, seeing the spike here over, I believe that's a 30-day trend. We can see that they topped out there. Would really love to see this. Okay, that's awesome. CryptoSlam, you guys do a great job. So $30,000 in sales, $10,000 in sales on the secondary market today. Sold packs and chests on the Binance Smart Chain. Would love to get some numbers if I could get some numbers from either Cogs themselves or you guys. That would be great. That way people can be informed on how much was actually raised here. Ooh, here we go. I think we found it. All right, there it is for you guys. Cogs was the top collection here. 1,688 buyers. It's a great number. 5.4 million wax. $512,000. I'm sure there are more numbers that I could probably get my hands on. But definitely shout out to RFox. If you guys don't know about Cogs, get involved. Get involved, because RFox is continuously building out their project there. Really a great app. Love to see what they're doing. All right, I'm going to touch on two pieces of quick news, and then we're going to fly into DeFi. Jay-Z is selling a reasonable doubt NFT with Synthetix after he had to have a lawsuit with his former partner. Let's see if I can't get to this piece. So there's a little bit of the piece there. Here's the full piece, and it has an audio portion as well. Let's see if we can't get that. A little bit of piece. There we go. I'm not catching the audio there, but you can see that that is a representative of one of his best albums, Reasonable Doubt. He's working with Synthetix, and then again he had to do a little bit of a damage control here with his partner Damon Dash, who was attempting to sell the same, not the same exact one, but to take advantage of this 25th anniversary here. So he was also earlier today in a Twitter sphere, or a Twitter stream, whatever the hell they're calling, Twitter Spaces, with Jack Dorsey. So he's full on into NFTs. He's also changed his profile picture to a CryptoPunk. The man is absolutely going bonkers. I tagged Mr. C. I don't know who that is. All right. Accidental tag there. I believe he's like MC or MS SC. You can see the CryptoPunk there for Jay-Z. He apparently bought that in March. And so he's just getting more involved in NFTs, and it's good to see somebody like Jay-Z. I mean, if Jay-Z's getting involved, he's been a notorious investor in different things, up and coming. Loves to collect art. Has gone on record saying he's collected, millions of dollars of art. Owned NBA teams, done different things. So cool to see him making his way into the NFT scene. Yeah, I tagged SC. NFT doesn't do that album justice, yeah. It's still a cool drop, and Sotheby's getting more involved as well. All right, that'll be it. I don't want to stay too far into NFTs. We do have Marvel getting involved via the Vivi platform and the Vivi app. I know Vivi is something we've been covering for a little bit. They have their own token. We covered a Marvel launch on Binance Smart Chain like 2 weeks ago or a week ago on NFT Live. Ended up being a complete scam. We were there on stream saying it was a complete scam, by the way. It went from like an awesome story to a complete scam to now Marvel's actually coming out and launching on the Vivi platform here. So it looks like they had already worked with DC Comics before, and they'll be working with Marvel. They don't have any... I mean, this Iron Man is just a placeholder. They have no pictures about what this launch is going to be. Shroom is coming through with the alpha. Jay-Z might turn Tidal into an NFT platform. I'm not a big Tidal user. I mean, I get that there needs to be competition with the likes of Spotify and such, but not a big Tidal user. Tigbo's coming through saying Vivi's app sucks, in my opinion, crashes too much. I haven't been a user. I'm not going to confirm or deny that I feel the same way. They must have some good business development people there on that platform. All right, here's the deal. We're going to move into DeFi, and then we will wrap up the episode. We've been going about an hour and 16 minutes. I want to finish out at an hour 30. I'm going to start with one of the coolest pieces that you should read this week. This blog post comes directly from Kain, the founder of Synthetix. If you don't know the backstory here, Kain founded Synthetix. A lot of regulatory concerns around running a derivatives exchange, regardless if he's in Australia or not, which is that is where he is. So it's a priority to get a derivatives exchange and derivatives protocol out of the hands of the team and into the hands of a decentralized autonomous organization, a DAO, of which they had like a triumvirate DAO. It was like a very interesting way to go about it, but basically they were going to use a three-pronged approach in organizing and getting Synthetix to move forward. At first, Kain was going to be part of what's called Spartan Council, which is one of the three of this triumvirate, and the community said, no, we don't want you that involved. You can be here as an advisor, yada yada yada. Well, this article, which I'll link, I think it's in the description, should be in the description, but I'll link you it, because this was penned by Kain, and he is making a return to Synthetix, and he is basically making a bid at the council to say, hey, I need to be reinstated here. A lot has gone awry, and I need to be reinstated here to right the ship. And for someone who's interested in DAOs, someone who's interested in project management and coordination in a decentralized way, or you know, when you have people all across the globe not sitting in the same room, it fascinates me, because we deal with that at LADZ. I mean, a lot of what he breaks down, if you're working in this industry, you're going to feel to your core. And we deal with it here at LADZ, where we have a lot of people in a lot of different places, and organizing all that is extremely difficult. So you need people at the helm who are going to make it work. And it's an interesting debate too, because you really, when you talk about DAOs, you expect them to be super like functioning well. It's always, oh, let's hand it off to the community and the DAO will run it. Well, it's not that easy. In theory, that sounds great. But as we can see in practice, it does not work as smoothly as you would want it to. So again, this comes directly from Kain. Kain writes very well. So it was actually a great article. I'm going to read the last bit. I don't even know if it's worth reading, but I'm going to always read the last paragraph here. A final note, I hadn't read this thread until after I finished this post, but there is a lot to consider within it around how DAOs set strategic objectives. One promising aspect of Synthetix is that we have collectively always been open to change and experimentation. So I'm confident as we iterate on our existing governance framework, we will find a balance between resistance to capture and ensuring members of the community can set long-term strategic goals. Read it for yourself. Really love what Kain's been building at Synthetix. He's definitely one of the big movers in the DeFi space. So if you want to get a look into the mind of one of those movers, and you also want to see how he thinks about organizing teams in crypto, read it. All right, going from one DeFi titan to another, this not so positive. Andre Cronje has had a really star-spangled, what do you call it? Star-crossed past within crypto. He was like Jesus for a little while. This is one of the founders of Wi-Fi. By the way, Wi-Fi is one of the most successful DeFi projects, set off DeFi summer last year. But he can't seem to find... He reminds me of Elon because he can't just be okay with existing. He has that creator's aspect, creator's mind, where he needs to be almost creating controversy, in my opinion. And you see how I responded here. But he's saying, I have found two projects that use cancel tactics to mob swarm anyone should they have any opinion other than pure admiration. I find it, if your community can't respectfully discuss potential flaws, you're in for a bad time in the long run. Chainlink and Polygon. He in my opinion, Andre cannot help himself when it comes to some of this stuff. He's penned multiple posts where he's taking shots at his own community, saying that they weren't grateful for the work he's been doing, that he took no tokens when they launched Wi-Fi. So I just literally stand for Kain there for like 10 minutes. So I'm a big supporter of different DeFi projects, but is there a need to do this? And it is my bags. Polygon is my bag. I don't get that impression from the Polygon community. I don't know if you want to drop in chat if you guys feel that way. I don't get that impression from the Polygon community. Like the Chainlink community, I definitely think has that aspect, and I don't mean to be fudding anyone's bags here on stream, but the Link Marines are a commonly known group that is like super heavy in support of Chainlink, which is completely fine. Do what you got to do. I haven't seen that from Polygon, but there were a couple responses to this Polygon tweet that got me kind of in a hubbub a little bit, because it seems like maybe the narrative of Polygon being synergistic with ETH isn't going to stand up that strong over time. Polygon's user base, its volume, its activity is like this, while ETH has kind of been the exact opposite. Most people in crypto, who are looking at these analytics know in some form or fashion that those are Ethereum users moving over. I'm trying to find the exact one. Yeah, I mean, going into the tweets of Andre are just tough to get into. So I'm going to hop off my soapbox a little bit, but this was picked up by DeFi Prime as well. I'll touch on DeFi Prime, because for whatever reason they chose to quote tweet it and say something about, which I use DeFi Prime a lot, by the way. Just tweeting all day, every day, guys. So they come out and said, if one of them would fail, what chances are that we'll see a bailout hard fork? What? what? This morning I'm just reading this Andre stuff, and then DeFi Prime comes across my timeline as well. If one of them would fail, what are the chances we see a bailout hard fork? Is this what we need to be talking about at this point? A hard fork of one of the largest chains in crypto? It just was weird to me, and it tinged me as maybe the Ethereum community is not as supportive, or won't be as supportive, to Polygon going forward. So we'll monitor that. We'll see what's going on, but really interesting stuff there from Andre, per usual. All right, SEC commissioner. I'm going to another individual here. This is really cool news. Hester Peirce has been a really big supporter of DeFi and a lot of the different projects within crypto. She's come out, as I don't click on that eToro link, and argues in favor of the DeFi's promise of disintermediation. So she wants the SEC's narrative, its personality, its character, the way people view the SEC. She does not want it to be but an enforcement-based approach. That's kind of the TLDR there. So this was from a virtual conference on June 23rd. I don't want it to be an enforcement-based approach. If we can provide clarity around certain issues within DeFi, that's something we should do. There are obvious things that we can do. If you're a decentralized platform that's actually centralized, then probably the securities laws are going to apply. Here's the positive stuff. Disintermediating can be quite helpful for financial stability, also for ensuring easy access to financial services on the same terms. Transparent terms, that's a positive thing. So I really liked this article here. I really liked her views. The fact that she comes out and says, hey, we don't want to be an enforcement-based firm here. Or doesn't want what she's working on to be viewed as maybe the big bad guys that only come in to really enforce heavy-handed rules. We want to kind of write those rules ahead of time and allow for some clarity in what's going on. So Hester Peirce there, wanted to give you guys that. And then the last two pieces here, RabbitHold is a really cool company you should keep your eye on. We had the founder of RabbitHold on, I believe, like a year ago. I think it was one of the first interviews we did with the Layer 1 podcast. They raised $3.6 million, led by Electric Capital here. Basically what RabbitHold is allowing people to do, and companies as well, they'll set up rewards for completing tasks. So if you want to set up a MetaMask, for example, maybe they work with MetaMask to get some reward there, and it works to help onboard individuals. So congratulations to RabbitHold there. They'll continue kind of building out onboarding processes and rewarding people for that. And then how can we have a DeFi breakdown here without an exploit? So it looks like SafeDollar, which is, to the article's point, not so safe. It looks like they've been exploited for around 250,000. They had a pool within Sushi on the Polygon blockchain, and they were exploited, and the token crashed to zero. They paused pretty much everything on the SafeDollar platform, and they're looking at ways they can repay. Now, 250K is not that large, so they'll likely be able to figure out some way to repay the constituents here. Really awesome quote here from Gupta, who works, I believe, on Sushi. He says, if anything has safe in its name, it's usually not safe. My condolences to those who got wrecked in this. It's an ape eats ape world out there. Stay safe. What a phenomenal breakdown of DeFi there. So exploits will still go on. stay safe out there for people that are involved in these DeFi farms, of which I'm included. And that will, we're sitting about an hour and 30 minutes, guys, so I'm going to pull out a little bit here. If you guys want me to cover anything else, or you just want to comment away, I'll probably open the floor for about another 2 minutes, and then we'll pop out of here. But great times here, kind of breaking down the crypto news from the past week. Here is the schedule again. Let me make sure I'm in the way. I'm not in the way. NFT live tomorrow, Layer 1 podcast, Easy Street with a full LADZ day and LADZ poker on Saturday. All right, guys, I am popping up out of here. Thanks for spending some of your day with me here on Layer 1 Live. We do this every Monday, 2:30. We're breaking down the entire crypto market. Nick Swervis is saying, random, but saw your response to Tom Bilyeu. We need to all meet up for a round in NYC. Oh, absolutely. One of Buffalo's first tasks will be to make sure that we're setting up NFT NYC the right way. We're definitely going to be getting after it in NFT NYC. We missed Bitcoin Miami, so it'd be awesome to get a LADZ event together. I think we're going to be working with some other companies to make sure we can pull that off. So thanks for that shout out there, Nick. All right, guys, popping up out of here. Thank you so much for tuning along. Our Vibe, our tribe. I'll catch you next time. And as our friend the Beard always says, happy trading.